What is going on, guys? Welcome to Purple and Gold Bars. I'm Supreme, your host. We are at it with a live version of our hot take review today. Ooh, I saw this clip a little while ago, and it really got me fired up. So I know it did you. So we're gonna take a look at a couple weeks ago. Colin Cowherd made some slanderous talks about our Vikings. So we want to look at that clip, chop that up, and then the Colin Cowherd show, not exactly Colin himself, has redeemed themselves today. So we'll take a look at that. Plus, there is a wild tweet that is going around Vikings Nation right now that is quite blasphemous, if I do say so myself, since I am a, one of the very first JJ McCarthy stands. I'm going to declare that right now, my allegiance to the Vikings and JJ McCarthy. I believe in this boy. Caught a stray. So we got to look into that because I feel like that's ridiculous. So that's all I think we got a fun clip today at the very end from John Middlecamp. So thanks for hanging out with me. Whatever you guys are up to, hanging out on this wonderful Tuesday evening, whether you guys are at home getting ready for work or getting ready for bed, or you're getting ready for work. Maybe you got the late shift. Thanks for hanging out with me on the Purple and Gold Bars channel. Let's get right into it, guys. Let's get right into it. So here we go. We'll get that one going. And oh my gosh, Colin. Usually, I like Colin for the most part. Like for the most part, he's got a good. He likes to go outside of the box takes. He's got a different approach than Skip when it comes to his outrageous and borderline slanderous takes, where Skip just kind of goes all in, 10 toes down for the most outrageous, kind of like obvious, like counter take or like rage bait take. Um, Colin kind of looks outside the box and looks at stuff. He brings a lot of things that don't seem plausible or just so far out of left field that make you scratch your head and go, what are you talking about, Colin? But I kind of like that because if you think outside the box, you're going to catch things that nobody sees way before other people do. So something that I like doing myself and I admire about Colin, but this one, he's way off. So let's react to this first clip here. First and foremost, why does that even matter? Right? Because if we flip the script and we look at other quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams last year, you were extremely happy, Colin, to say, "Oh, I believe in this guy. I don't even know why the intangibles are there. He can throw the ball, whatever it was. Oh, the hard work, the ethic from Jaden. I think right with no real indication of what that was going to produce. But now you want to have the opposite take. So kind of fishy to me. It kind of seems like you're more trying to reach and kind of go the counter narrative because it seems like for the most part, a lot of people are pretty high on the Vikings, especially after what they proved last year, where we took a team with a bridge quarterback or whatever you want to call it, a quarterback on the resurgence, a guy, Baker Mayfield 2.0, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to designate, his hold on, it's like Lefty messaged me. Maybe I am not here. Oh, comments. What's going up? Oh, you guys couldn't hear Colin. Thanks for texting me, Lon. What is going on with the sound? Let's rewind that so we can hear it after that rant. So regardless, my point still stands the same. I feel like it's more of like a rage bait take because of what we did last year. We kind of have proven that regardless of our quarterback, we have a solid foundation, a solid everything, different levels when it comes to the coaching, our players, our development. We're just firing on a different level and we're just kind of at the precipice of greatness. We're about to start proving after these last couple of years of hard work. So let's play this back, and Lefty, let me know if we can hear Colin here. Can you hear that, Lefty? Was that loud enough? I'll wait to get a reply here. But yeah, the next statement that he said, he played for a team with a run game and a defense. You still can't hear him. Why is that not edit? Audio, headphone speaker. Yeah, I can hear that. I wonder why it's not playing the sound. Try it again. Let's see. Mhm. Do you hear that? Let's see here. The only thing that's different is that I'm rocking headphones now. Let me unpair them, or let me just take them off. Now, let's go back to audio, desktop. I tried removing and like taking it down, but that didn't seem to work. Let me try sharing the actual tab. Also share. Yeah, it says also share tab audio. Okay, now let's try this again.
So I just saw a story this morning about Kevin O'Connell and JJ McCarthy. And he's in a league where every good team knows who their quarterback is. And even if it's a new quarterback like Darnold of the Seahawks, you kind of know what Darnold is. Nobody knows what JJ McCarthy is. I am a skeptic. First of all, he played for a college team known for a run game and defense. He was not asked to win games. He was asked not to lose them.
You know, the one thing about this whole rant that Colin has is he's all these euphemisms like, well, he just didn't have to win games, but he didn't have to lose them. Like, what? Doesn't that every quarterback that ever played the game? Doesn't that hold true for everybody? Like, so what? Like, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't point to anything specific. He didn't go, well, I don't like the way that he does this. I don't like that in college he fumbled this or he threw all these bad interceptions. He can't point to anything specific. It's just a feeling. It's it's his feminine side taking over and telling him that to doubt what's going on, right? Um, but yeah, it is interesting to me. And he says, well, yeah, a team with a running game and a defense. Really, like the running game that we have with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. That's gonna be a deadly 1-2 combo there. The defense. You mean the defense that the first year that Brian Flores arrived took a defense that was in the bottom, 5 of the league and brought them up to like middle of the pack, and then made a massive stride in year 2 to top 10, possibly top 5. That defense. So what the hell are you talking about, Colin? So like I said, it's all, I feel like he's just grasping at airs to kind of have the contrarian viewpoint on this. Like, bro, give a kid a break, just like you give Drake May or freaking Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams or Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence, right? Like you give all these guys grace or some pass. Give JJ McCarthy a little bit of grace here. The guy only has a record, what was like 27-1, national title champion in a big school. It's not like he was, you know what I mean? Like he had a lot of pressure in the games that he played. So not a big fan of what Colin is saying here.
He's got a modest arm. He's marginally athletic. And again, he's going into a very good division. And this team seriously considered re-signing Sam Darnold. So, in fact, you go up, we were looking this morning. I'm always so reluctant to embrace a quarterback.
We kind of want to take a little shot there, eh? Like, of course, why wouldn't you want to try to sign at an extremely cheap, team-friendly deal a guy that just won you 14 games? Like, you'd be an idiot to not even entertain the option, right? Like, what if they offer him? Like, you know what, man, give us another year, 20 million. It'll be another step. We'll get to the point where people say not only are you fixed, but now under the high pressure games, like you fumbled the ball in, or not fumbled the ball, but like drop the ball or drop the bag in the final game or in the playoffs. Let's prove that this year you stay 20 million. Let's get you a win, maybe get to the NFC title game, and with those playoff wins, that's going to give you some massive leverage, right? Like, why wouldn't you offer a quarterback something like that? And if he goes, you know what? I like the idea. Why wouldn't you? But of course, he's going to take the money. And the way it is, like, you have to do your due diligence. You have to put the offers out. So why that makes any difference to how much Minnesota values JJ or is bought in on JJ, I don't get it. But I'm not the professional pundit like Colin Cowherd. So. And then and then like Lefty's saying here, like the Vikings didn't seriously, like, it's kind of like an exaggeration. They definitely felt some offers, but like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a serious, like, oh man, we got to sell the farm. And if he doesn't say no, we're gonna have to offer him 50 mil. He's that good. They weren't. That's the kind of serious that he's kind of implying. But like, you do your due diligence with every player that you got going out the door, right? So yeah, 20 their serious offer was 20 million, right? So yeah. I don't think it plays any factor in what that says about JJ McCarthy, but it is what it is.
When everybody says, I don't know how to describe it, he's a winner. Danny Werfel was a winner. Every Steve Spurrier quarterback in Florida was a winner. All of Urban Meyer's quarterbacks, everywhere he goes, are winners. Alex Smith was a winner and a good quarterback. So we went this morning and we were looking at.
Oh my God. Okay. There's a difference. Oh man. It's just a weird crutch to kind of use to justify this argument. Well, freaking Ryan Leaf was a winner. You know what I mean? Like, so and so was a winner. Look, they didn't pan out. Well, guess what? Freaking, there were so many other quarterbacks that were winners as Decorator or more, and created incredible journeys and resumes in the NFL. So again, it's a thing of like, you're just grasping. I feel like he's just grasping at airs. at Straw just to freaking have something to say on tape. So like later down the season, be like, see, I told you. Oh, he's a winner. See, how is that panning out now? It's like, you know what? There's a difference when you're kind of like looking at those kind of intangibles or kind of those things, and you're trying to bring extra context to the essential calculation that you're doing, right? So when you're looking at actual physical ability, like things the times and the performance in drills, as well as like the physical lifting, all that stuff, right? Like the combine test, right? There's looking at that, the interview process, and then seeing him in practice, right? There's that picture that coaches and staff get, and then you kind of bring other little things into context, especially when you're trying to make a massive decision, like, do we really want to, give the keys to this Ferrari to this young buck, or are we going to take Aaron Rodgers, or are we going to give 50 million to Sam Darnold, right? Um, that you start pulling in, like, well, you know what? He basically won at every level from Pop Warner all the way to the, the college level, and then in a big school like Michigan, where in bowl games he performed in the pressure and stuff like that. He's seen it and felt it, and he had an incredible quote the other day after one of the OTA practices where he said something about he heard a quote about ADHD people where they find the calmness, or they find the order or they find the disorder in the calm, and like the opposite, and like the calmness in the pressure or something, essentially stating that. And then basically he was saying that like he's just comfortable in those high pressure situations. That's always where he's at. That's where he feels like he's thrived the entire time. So it's kind of like saying, oh, he's just a winner at every level, is a way of explaining that he just has this poise in these high pressure games that'll transition later down the road. A poise that, guess what? We were criticized a lot for not having when Kirk Cousins was our quarterback, when Sam Darnold was our quarterback. Everybody's like, well, what happens when he gets to the playoffs? He's not going to do anything anyway. So this is a great resurgent year. It's a great story, but that's all it is, So like when we bring in a guy that has these intangibles, right? Like this experience and this mindset, and you want to dog on it, like it sounds stupid to me.
Sort of like what the draft people said about JJ McCarthy coming in. And this was Dane Brugler. His strengths, mental prep. Weakness, very few examples of him adjusting protections at the line, played in an offense that leaned on the run game. Lance Zierlein, who I trust. His strength is the ambiguous, well, he plays with a chip on his shoulder. Weakness, modest arm strength, average escapability. So all the stuff I'm supposed to love is this sort of nebulous, he's a winner. He plays with a chip. How's his arm? How's his athletic ability? How's his size? Hey, yeah. So, and I've said this before,
All right. So, wow, I totally had that. But anyways, so you know, after all that Colin said, what is? I feel like that reminds me of someone. I can't really put my finger on it. Right? Mental prep is more important to him than physical prep. I wonder who that sounds like going out of college. Very, very good. Oh man, strives to gain a mental advantage. Who does that? I feel like there's a guy in football history that had quite the motivation and drive for the same. We got a couple good, good criticism here. Very few examples of adjusting protections at the line. But that's something that we don't have to really worry too much about because we got Kevin O'Connell. He's got a wealth of experience from being a quarterback himself. We've seen him, at the quarterback at the NFL level, and now the coach with what he did with like the Passernaut last year. Last year we had Vikings fans thinking that we had a chance at glory with the rocket scientist and the quarterback whisperer Kevin O'Connell. And you know what? For 2 weeks there, it looked like it was a possibility. But what that's a sign of is that ingenious way and that outside of the box thinking that KOC has that allows him to work on these give the quarterbacks the that he coaching that he has give the quarterbacks that he has on his roster all the information and everything that they need to succeed, right? So why isn't he going to do the same for JJ? Plays with a chip on his shoulder. Plays with a chip on his shoulder. I wonder who. I feel like there was a guy that was drafted real late in the draft back in the 2000s that felt a little bit the same. Modest Armstrong, I said the same thing about another guy too, Mr. Tom Brady. A lot of similarities between JJ McCarthy and Tom Brady, right? They come from the same school. Last year there was pictures coming out viral where JJ looked emaciated, right? He looked really thin, like he hadn't been doing anything. He looked like a really skinny dude, and a lot of people were criticizing, like, is he going to have the size to be able to? Oh my gosh, hold on a second, guys. I have the missus messaging. Anyway, so like I was saying, you're gonna say those things. You know what? They said the same things about Tom then, and I guess they're valid criticisms. But you know what? I'm not gonna worry too much because I remember seeing a couple shorts that the Vikings published where JJ was at the podium talking about how he feels bigger, faster, stronger than he ever has. So I think he's putting that work, that mental prep, and that 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 winning mentality of wanting to improve is definitely there with him. So you know what I mean? Like Colin, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Nebulous. He's a winner. He plays with a chip. How's his arm? How's his athletic ability? How's his size? Yeah. So
Pretty darn good. After the first highlights of the first OTAs, he had some zip on that ball. He's got some arm strength. JJ's got some intangibles, and he's gonna, last year. We don't even have to look at this year. Let's just look at a JJ McCarthy. Well, right now we're not gonna look at it, but if you guys remember last year's preseason game, how well did he do there? I'm pretty sure he was rifling them balls out there, and he had a spectacular game. What was it? I forget how many yards, a couple touchdowns, right? And an interception, if I'm not mistaken. It's slipping my mind the exact stats, but that was a year ago, pre-rehab, coming out of college with the build that he had then, right? So we fast forward a year. He sat behind, witnessed, Sam Darnold and his ride to 14 wins, and it looks like he's looking like he's put on some strength. He's looking pretty good. So I don't know what are you talking about, Colin. I know this is 3 weeks ago before all the tape came out, so we'll give him a pass on that one. But
And I've said this before. If you think about who should be dominating the NFL at quarterback, it should be Alabama guys and Ohio State guys, right? Because they get the 5-star out of high school, then they win the most in college, and you'd think, oh, it's just linear. That guy's going to be great. How many great Ohio State quarterbacks in the NFL? Because playing at Ohio State is fundamentally nothing like the NFL. Well, you always have the best teammates. You always have a lead. If you don't play particularly well, we'll just go to the ground game.
wait a second. Everything that he just described is essentially the situation that JJ McCarthy finds himself with the Minnesota Vikings. They got a strong running game. They got a strong defense. They got an extremely strong surrounding cast. And his shot, essentially, what he's basically boiling down to in this whole clip is that JJ ain't shit. He didn't do shit in college except for, distribute the ball and was essentially a glorified game manager. So how could that transition in the NFL because of this history? These types of quarterbacks don't succeed in the NFL because of where they come from. Yeah, if you're moving from a program in which you're part of a juggernaut, where you're part of an organization where most of the time, like Ohio State, Michigan, they're fielding great teams, right? And so they're front runners. They got a solid running game. They got a lot of things that they fall back on in order to dominate the way they do, right? So when they go to a team like Jacksonville and they got shit receivers and they got nothing around them and they fail, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. What do you think is going to happen? Right? Like, but in the slim chances that some of these quarterbacks land in good situations. Now, I don't have the wealth of knowledge when it comes to college football, but I'm sure there's plenty of examples. Is Alex Smith the guy? I don't know where Alex Smith went to college, but a guy that and there's probably a lot of good examples of players that come from a similar background that ended up on loaded teams as a backup or whatever that worked their way up and found themselves in essentially the exact same situation that they found themselves in college, where they thrived, where they succeeded. So guess what? That's exactly what I'm expecting from JJ McCarthy. I'm expecting him to take what he learned as the game manager last year and to ride the strengths of his running game and allow his defense to continue to giving him extra possessions and extra chances that great defenses provide their offense, right? And with that, he can develop right over the next 3 years. Because if I'm not mistaken, Tom Brady was a game manager for the first 3, 4, 5 years of his career. He had a stout defense. He had a solid supporting cast on top of one of the greatest coaches and organizations backing him, right? So we have a lot of this. We have parallel and similar things in Minnesota that are only going to be beneficial for this young man. So, we'll leave it there with old Colin there, because that's essentially what he's getting down to. He's basically just going to cut JJ up and essentially say, it's all pizzazz and it's all jazz hands. He's a winner and, blah, blah, blah. It's all he's got a chip on his shoulder BS. And what has he done? He's mediocre and everything. So he's essentially implying that he's going to be mediocre as well. And he's not going to be successful at the NFL level. But I beg to differ. I know we had a little bit of a struggle in today's most recent OTAs. I saw Purple Insider talk about it with a couple different channels as well. He dropped in and talked about it. But you know what? There's just like any player, there's going to be ups and downs, right? We saw Dallas Turner struggle in the first few weeks to kind of get a grasp of Brian Flores' scheme and defense and what was required of him. And then later in the season, he started making waves and started, playing and actually getting minutes, right? So there's going to be peaks and valleys, there's going to be ups and downs, and that is exactly what you're going to need and what you want your young quarterbacks to experience, because that's what fosters development, long-term development. So I feel like we're in a great situation when it comes to JJ McCarthy. Now let me switch it up because Colin Cowherd's show, I feel, did redeem themselves a little bit here. And there we go. And let's bring this guy up here. So it looks like Colin is on vacation or on break. It's a perfect time actually because it's like right before the NBA finals begin, right? And we're a little bit, OTAs are just starting, so we haven't really ramped up on NFL. So it's a good time for him to take his yearly vacation. So we got my man here that in the previous clip, if I would have let play, we would have seen him actually backing up and kind of pushing against Colin and saying, you know what, watch out. These Vikings are going to surprise a lot of people, which echoes my sentiment 100%. And he does a good job of talking about it on today's show. So let's hear what this man had to say. Let's let him gas up our Vikings and JJ McCarthy.
So stick around for that. We got Jovan Buha. Lakers people, stick and stay, second hour. That'll be fun. All right. So part of the fun of being in sports media is, you get to make predictions and then you obviously root for them. So you hope you're right. And a couple years ago on this show, I put kind of a stake in the ground, like Mel Gibson Braveheart style, for a player. And I didn't just do it out of the blue. You hear things, people come through this studio. I have people on my podcast. I'm out and about trying to talk up certain people in the NFL. And I kept hearing, keep an eye on this JJ McCarthy kid, man, at Michigan. He's got some moxie. Okay. I'm like, whatever that's worth. Matt Saracen from Friday Night Lights had moxie. Where'd that get him? And McCarthy just has a ho-hum career, 27-1 at Michigan. No big deal. But I'll never forget, he had a semifinal game against Alabama. And I think it was either the first play of the game or the third. He throws an out pattern, and the Alabama DB almost picks it off. And I'm like, oh, gosh, here I am hyping up McCarthy, and he nearly screwed the pooch on the first drive. And, of course, as the game progresses, J.J. McCarthy has the ball with 5 minutes left, down a touchdown against Alabama in the Rose Bowl. If that's not pressure, I don't know what pressure is. McCarthy completes a big pass on fourth down. He has a huge scramble, ends up getting a touchdown pass, ties the game. They win in overtime. And all of a sudden, J.J. McCarthy, okay, I see you, J.J., you got some pop. And he's drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. But then he gets hurt and misses the entire rookie season. He misses the season, and Sam Darnold jumps in. Sam Darnold, who was drafted by the Jets high, couldn't do anything in New York, bounces around, and all of a sudden lands in Minnesota, and Sam Darnold is lights out last year, okay? Until the end of the season. And national television kind of poops his pants in the regular season finale with everything on the line. Playoff game, he gets destroyed, humbled at home, and they move on from Sam Darnold. But all you hear is like, I don't know if J.J. McCarthy's the guy. There's all this noise from reporters. J.J. McCarthy has not thrown a meaningful pass in the NFL yet. His last meaningful pass was January 8th, 2024 in that Rose Bowl. I am coming out right now and telling America I'm all in on J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings. They will play in the NFC Championship this year. I'm making my prediction here in June of 2025. I am all in on this team. Now, it's a couple things at play. First,
let's talk. Let's take a moment to cheer and applaud this man for seeing the writing on the wall and making quite the bold prediction. I haven't sat and really made any wild, bold prediction, but you know what? Maybe a way too early prediction. I feel like I'm on the same on the same path. I felt like last year we were going to make a pretty sizable. I hope we were going to make a sizable push in the playoffs. That didn't happen, but that's okay. So I have a similar feeling. Like I'm hoping that we make a deep playoff run, whether that's the NFC title game or we win a wild card game or a game and just show that we have that ability to compete at that level with JJ, and for him to look awesome and for the team to look like they belong. That's what I want. I'm hoping for then, that Cinderella moment to kind of take over, that Friday Night Lights scripted kind of finish to the season where we transition from that, a deep playoff run into an actual Super Bowl appearance and win. That would be incredible in year one of JJ McCarthy. Holy moly, would that be crazy? But an NFC title appearance, even champions, would be freaking unreal for his first year. So I'm all about it. Let's give him some props. Heck yeah, man.
I want you to listen to somebody who played with Josh Allen and who's now seen JJ McCarthy up close. Harrison Phillips. Here he is giving some praise to Mr. JJ McCarthy.
Man, he's got some confidence, and he reminds me of like Josh Allen when I was with him in Buffalo, coming into his own and understanding the power that he has to lead this organization, and he's doing a fantastic job doing that.
Oh, really? He reminds you of Josh Allen. Oh, my. Okay, so I said earlier, I like when people come into the studio and I'm a sponge. I try to learn stuff. You guys.
And let's just make a quick clarification. I don't think Harrison Phillips was saying that it was a one-to-one comparison, as in like he has the same intangibles, the same style of football. I think he was just talking mostly about the mindset and how he saw Josh Allen emerge as a leader and as the face, the heart and soul of that offense and what he is now, right? So that transition from to where he is now, and he's seeing some parallels with JJ. I like the sounds of that, boys.
You guys might remember Aaron Jones, the running back. He was in Green Bay, now he's on the Vikings. Came in here. During the commercial, I'm peppering these guys with questions. What do you got? Without any prompting, Aaron Jones could not stop talking about JJ McCarthy. The leadership, the dude's got it. Sometimes you just have it. It's a quality. Girl walks into a bar, she's got it. That's the girl. Quarterback walks in, and he's got command of the offense. Okay? Aaron Jones is running back, raving about it. And then we got a guy here at the network who happens to know Kevin O'Connell very well. Kevin O'Connell really, really likes JJ McCarthy. Oh, by the way, you know who else likes JJ McCarthy? Jim Harbaugh. Do you remember what he said on this show about JJ McCarthy?
At Sentry Tower, most players just grab the chest and leave, but there's actually a basement entrance right there.
Athleticism, it factor, arm talent, athleticism, it factor, winning with numbing repetition. When people get a load of JJ and what how he can throw the ball, how he spins it, his athleticism, his intelligence, talk about it factor, he's got it, the competitiveness that he has. And they get around him and they really start digging in and they start talking to him.
So you start adding.
You know what that sounds a lot like to me? I keep saying it. I know, Tom Brady. We've heard a lot of people say the exact same things about Tom Brady throughout his career. Different stages. People just want to be around him. People just want to enjoy, all the same things. So I'm not saying he's going to be as great, but when you see the same ingredients before you start baking your cake, and it might start seeming like we might have some really good, we might have a really good batter going here, for lack of a better way of saying. And this cake that we're baking here with JJ McCarthy, I think it's going to be something special. I think it's going to be Minnesota's first championship era. So how we get there, how we develop is still a mystery to me, but I just have this cool, calm confidence from everything that I learn about this Vikings team, from everything I hear from defensive players, JJ McCarthy and our coach, Kwesi, the moves that the organization makes, the quotes that the Wilfs make, right? Our ownership only gives me the confidence that we have all the right intangibles. We just have to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show because they have queued one up for the ages. We have the next few years are going to be some of the most spoiled years in Vikings history, and I think it's only going to get better. So, a heads up to old Harrison Phillips and his old coach there, Mr. Harbaugh.
These things up. Jim Harbaugh, who knows a little bit about football, loves JJ McCarthy. Kevin O'Connell is one of the brightest young minds in the league. That's undeniable. Okay. How do I know this? Well, I don't know. Caleb Williams coming out of USC is like on record saying, I want to play for Kevin O'Connell. How do I get to Minnesota? Caleb Williams wanted to go to play for Kevin O'Connell. And do you remember the Pastronaut, one of the great nicknames in the NFL? Josh Dobbs. Minnesota had a quarterback injury. They trade for Josh Dobbs, thrust him on the field that week. He gets a win. Next week, gets a win. Kevin O'Connell is freaking good, guys. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of good coaches in the league. I've got him in my top 5 coaches already. And I don't think he's won a playoff game. Lost with Kirk Cousins, lost with Darnold. And I've got Kevin O'Connell 5th of my coaches in the NFL right now. That's how in high regard I have him. Okay? So you add all this up. Harbaugh loves it. JJ McCarthy. Kevin O'Connell, super sharp mind, who everybody wants to play for. Remember, by the way, Aaron Rodgers, guys, still not signed. I'm lifting my ban on Aaron Rodgers. Yesterday, I refused to mention the guy's name. Today, I'm mentioning it because multiple reporters have come out and said the reason Rodgers hasn't signed yet with Pittsburgh is because he's waiting for the Minnesota opening. He wants Kevin O'Connell to want him. I don't think it's happening. I think it's a bad look to kind of do
A-Rod's going to be waiting well into his retirement before the Vikings start come a calling. It's going to take a massive, it'll take like JJ going down with like a weird non-contact injury like Teddy did a couple years back in practice. Just a fluke weird injury that nobody foreseen. That's the only way A-Rod's getting a call from us. He's going to be waiting. Oh, he's going to be waiting a long time.
exactly what Brett Favre did. Jets, then Vikings. That's very losery. I digress. Bottom line is everybody loves Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell loves JJ McCarthy. Folks, we know the Detroit Lions. Alex and I talked about this yesterday. Frank Ragnow, Detroit center. He just retired. Detroit has a new offensive coordinator and a new center. That's not great. Green Bay, we got some questions. I think we'll be talking about
Crap. I muted that. Anyways, it was still muted. But anyway, we're still working on this on the channel. But anyways, what I was saying here when it comes to the Lions here, I've been saying since the end of the last season that my hot take is that I'll be surprised if the Lions win 10 games this season. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things are going to be different in Detroit. The new coordinator, etc. He just said everything. It's not going to be just plug and play, right? They're not just going to have. They're not going to have the same playbook. They're not going to have the same verbiage. Because what happens after week 1 on the Monday when Ben Johnson gets the footage from the Lions game and he goes, "Hey, all the audibles are still the same. These pre-snap motions, everything is. This is essentially still my playbook." They're not going to do that, right? They're going to bring in a new playbook. They're going to change the verbiage. It's going to be a whole different language, and they're going to have to retool that whole part of their offense in order to compete against the Bears. And then as a result, they're not just going to just pull that playbook whenever they play the Bears. It's just something that they have to do for the entire year. So there's going to be moments, there's going to be lapses of judgment, and they're going to make mistakes. Maybe more. It's going to cost some games. We've already seen Dan Campbell is probably good for at least one loss with his dumbass freaking mistakes that he makes. So it is what it is. And I just think so. It could have been, so I think that's one of the big reasons why I think one of many reasons why I think the Lions are going to take a little bit of a step back this season. I know their rosters feels like nothing's changed, but at the same time, I feel like that's also taken a step down, in my opinion. In a really early, way too early standings, I feel like we have the better roster in general, top to bottom. When we compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. We just have the overall better coaching, overall better staff, overall better organization, culture, and players. We just tipped the scale on our end. So, is it a question of their center retiring because he just he's just it's the end of the line. He doesn't want to go into this season and shit the bed and look like one of the worst centers in the league because we don't know. Maybe on his tell-all memoir, we find out that he's dealing with some massive injuries and the bottom's about to fall out on him, and that's why he retires. Very, very plausible. Maybe he just sees the writing on the wall and he goes, you know what, this is going to be a lot of work and a lot of transition, and we're not going to be as good as we think we are, and he just wants to get out before he gets, before he endures the suffering that is going to be this season. I don't know. There's myriad of different reasons why he retired, but the fact that he retired when that O-line is supposedly one of the best O-lines in football, it's going to be a massive factor, and we'll see how they do in these first few weeks of the season if they're able to produce with their new center. So, next thing that we're going to move on over to is Vikings Twitter has been going crazy. So, again, big ups to this dude. I forgot his name already. From the show today to come back and say something awesome about our Vikings. But man, there has been a tweet that has been going viral in Vikings Twitter. Care of Mr. Ross Tucker. This is the only place that I can find the quote real quick just to make it easy. But he said the other day on, I forget which podcast it was, but he said, no matter what the Vikings say about JJ McCarthy, they wanted Sam Darnold back. And when they weren't going to get Darnold back, they wanted Daniel Jones back. As much as they're sold on JJ McCarthy, they weren't that sold. So the Vikings have some doubt. Wow, the levels of stupidity that this statement screams to me is unreal, because let's take out all of our emotions and all of our kind of like our mind reader hats off and just look up what this situation is. He's trying to read the tea leaves and be like, oh well, they couldn't have been that high on JJ if they really wanted to sign Sam. Oh, they wanted Daniel Jones back, right? Now, when we look at this as an organization, as a team, as a business, whenever you are going to move on from, let's say you hear an executive is going to move on, they're going to retire, whatever the situation is, you assess the situations, you do your due diligence, right? So throwing out an offer to Sam Darnold for like 20 million and the promise of giving him one more year to develop the mystique, the legend that is Sam Darnold, America's quarterback, and maybe prove that you are over the hump and you can win under pressure like you couldn't do in the last game of the season or in the playoffs, and maybe win a playoff game and maybe take, show that you win the NFC North and maybe get the number one seed. Just kind of prove everybody wrong for all the things that they cut him up about, right? But you're gonna get paid 20 mil. And after that, you're gonna go and you're gonna make, 60 mil a year, something like that. Of course, they're gonna make an offer like that or something, you know, in the same ballpark because they have to. It's their due diligence. They'd be idiots if they didn't offer anything to Sam Darnold and he just walked. You know what the headlines would be like? Oh my God, Sam Darnold wasn't even given an offer. His agent confirms that the Vikings didn't even give him a call. You know how much like PR would be going against the Vikings if they did something like that? No, they kicked the tires. They said, "Hey, what's going on?" Sure, he moves on. Thanks for all your hard work and good luck. I'm excited to see what he does. I like Sam Darnold now. Something that I never thought I would say. And then Daniel Jones, also us wanting to have a backup that a quality backup is somehow a shot at JJ McCarthy. Let's be real. Nobody in their right mind thinks that if Daniel Jones was re-signed by the Vikings, he had a shot to start. Let's be real. He's not starting. It's one of these situations where if he would have made the team, it's JJ's team until he freaking completely falls apart. And then it's Daniel Jones to save the season. Like that's the only situation that he had in purple and gold. So that is supposed to be, oh, we're not sold on JJ. No, everything that we've heard, we just heard accounts from Jim Harbaugh and from insiders talking about how much KOC loves JJ, how much the organization. We hear what we're going to do on an upcoming live. We're going to do just a gassing up live where we're just going to look at all the Vikings kind of shorts and stuff and just kind of gas up our team. And I'm seeing a Grenard. I'm seeing Aaron Jones. I'm seeing JJ. I'm seeing all these players, Harrison Phillips, giving massive praise to JJ. And doesn't really line up with this. So I don't understand. I was kind of a little bit dumbfounded when I saw that this had gone a little bit viral on Vikings Twitter. But you know what? It is what it is. We are, a little bit jaded. We are, we've gotten a lot of we've had a lot of downs. We are a storied franchise with a lot of heartbreak. So I get it. I get why people want to freak out when they see things like this. They just want to, the sky is falling. But I'm sure as soon as we see that first preseason game, every almost all Vikings Nation is going to be like a nice sigh of relief, and let's get to this first week because that's what we're really up for. And then one last video here, nice little reaction, a nice little short one from Mr. John Middlecoff. He had a question asked to him on his show about our Minnesota Vikings, and I thought he had a pretty reasonable take that I feel like not a lot of people are making, and it just seems stupid to me that nobody's making this common logical assessment, right? So here we go.
Fan of the pod. Question: could you see a world where the Vikings win 14 games with JJ McCarthy? I believe he's about 80% of advertised. It's certainly possible. Improved defense with Flores returning, an improved offensive line and run game, as well as arguably a top 5 receiver. Am I insane, or is just another year of media underrating the Vikings? Well, I would say if you had a top 10 quarterback on your team, you are, competing for the 1 seed. Sam Darnold last year was a top 10 quarterback in the NFC or in the NFL, and you competed for the 1 seed right up until the last regular season game. And your team's on paper is even better. Now, I would say, and I think you guys would agree, relatively healthy, right? You lost your left tackle. I forget which week that was, 8, 10, 12. But for the most part, like Jefferson, your defensive guys. Uh, did Addison get injured? I don't think he really did. I think you guys were mostly healthy. So, assuming health, if JJ just has to be like a top 15 quarterback and you're winning 12, 13 games. The thing is, it's a great unknown. Like, what's he going to look like on the road week 3 in Chicago and it's raining? I don't know. There's just no way to know. Congrats. Happy Fugazi Friday. Got a mailbag question.
A nice logical take from John there. Pretty reasonable. If JJ plays like a top 15 quarterback, easily winning 12, 13 games. And if he's what Vikings Nation perceives JJ McCarthy to win, then it's an easy 14 win season. And if he's what JJ McCarthy thinks he is, he's probably looking at a 15, 16 win season because that's the type of winner that he is. He's got that mentality. He wants to dominate. He wants to find ways to win and get back to the podium, back to that feeling. Because I don't know about you, but winning the national title in Michigan and everything that happened after that had to have been incredible. And I'm sure that he's wanting to find that in the NFL. And we're lucky as Vikings fans to have him as our potential. Well, he's our franchise quarterback, but with the potential that he has, we are lucky as fans to have him potentially take us to the promised land. So that kind of brings me to the end of the show today. So those were the things that I had seen with the Minnesota Vikings, and maybe we'll finish off with one nice quick clip on. Let's see here. Something about. Here we go. Okay, this is what we're gonna finish off with here, guys. I'm gonna share that.
Yeah, man, he's working. That's another guy who, even after the season, was still here working out, and even though he was like cleared or whatever, he was still like, brother, he's working his tail off, and I'm like, this is our quarterback. He's a younger guy, nobody's telling him to do this. I keep reiterating to the guy like Dallas as well. Like, they did a really good job of bringing the right guys in that you don't have to tell them to do anything. They hear it one time, it's okay. It sticks. They understand now how to move and be a pro. So seeing JJ just continue to work his tail off, be that same guy as the first day I met him, still checking in on guys like, how you doing? A lot of people don't do. They ask it. They just say, hey, how you doing? Just to check off a box. I mean, he genuinely wants to know, like, hey, how are you doing? How's the family doing? And that's what you want out of your quarterback, a younger guy as well. Especially when he has this grand opportunity in front of him, man. We're all behind him. I mean, we're all standing 10 toes with Jay. I mean, he's definitely a guy who's a likable guy. So you want to see a guy like him succeed. So it makes it easier for us to root him on. Yeah.
Well said, Mr. Jonathan Grenard. So with that testimony, we're going to leave you guys here. I thank you so much for joining me on the Purple and Goals Bar channels. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on tomorrow's. I don't think I'm going to have the video. I have a video in the works that I'm editing right now about our Minnesota Vikings. So I think we're going to probably do either an uploaded hot take review, or we're going to do a live session where we're just going to sit there and watch a bunch of these clips, because a lot of these highlight or these shorts from the Minnesota Vikings channel give me so much confidence. That one alone gives me just shivers thinking about what Jonathan Grenard said about JJ. And this is the things, Colin Cowherd, that makes a guy a winner, makes him, a winner at every level. Like you're saying, it is what it is, man. You're going to wish that You were on the right side of history because JJ McCarthy's coming, and so are these Vikings. I see you guys later. Vikings Nation, Skol, baby. Let's do it.